Hi, I'm Trisha, and I'm going to be talking about teaching students with ADHD. What is ADHD? ADHD is short for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Children with ADHD have a difficult time paying attention in class. A child with ADHD may have problems in the classroom and trouble relating to peers. ADHD can be treated with medication, therapy, and a lot of understanding. Teachers can help by learning how to teach to the child with ADHD. Here are some statistics about ADHD. In the United States, it is estimated that 1.46 to 2.46 million children have ADHD. This is 3 to 5% of all students. It is estimated that 25 to 33% of kids with ADHD also have a learning disability along with their ADHD. 65% of children who have been labeled as emotionally disturbed or have emotional problems also have ADHD. Boys are more likely than girls to be diagnosed with ADHD. I chose this topic because my 11-year-old son in the 6th grade has ADHD. He is on an IEP for this. I wanted to know more about what is going on inside the mind of children with ADHD and how to help them succeed. In the classroom, students with ADHD have behaviors that have been broken into two main categories. These are poor sustained attention, which can look like daydreaming, and hyperactivity impulsiveness. In the classroom, a student with ADHD may show some of these behaviors: fidgeting or restlessness, blurting out the answers, difficulty following instructions, losing or misplacing items, being very easily distracted, quick and sudden mood swings, or unfinished projects, not completing an assignment before moving on to the next. I chose to research Lev Vygotsky. Some of his beliefs blend well with educating students with ADHD. Lev Vygotsky was born on November 17, 1896 in Orsha, which was part of the Russian Empire. He got a degree in law from Moscow State University in 1917. He studied many areas and was drawn toward psychology. He entered the Institute of Psychology in Moscow in 1924. He is best known for his socio-cultural theory. Social interaction is critical for learning. He died on June 11, 1934, at the age of 37. One of the things he talked about was the zone of proximal development. This is the distance, or also known as the ZPD. This is the distance between what a child can do on their own and what they cannot do on their own. This is the area that children can problem solve in with guidance. You can think of it as the Goldilocks zone. The classwork is challenging but not too difficult, and it's not so easy that the students get bored. It's just right. So you can see down in the yellow circle, this is what students can do without help, the really easy work. The orange area is what students cannot do even with some help. So what we're looking for is this area right here that's just right, the ZPD. Scaffolding can also be included within the ZPD, and this was another one of Vygotsky's ideas. Scaffolding is similar to construction in a building. Teachers or peers can provide scaffolding to the learner. A teacher might start out with very detailed directions on an assignment. Gradually, they will give an outline of the directions. Finally, no directions will be given, as students know what is expected. Students with ADHD need predictability, and this scaffolding would certainly help them. Jean Piaget of Switzerland from the late 1800s is somebody who had some similar ideas to Vygotsky. He was known for the cognitive development theory. Piaget was one of the first to acknowledge that children think differently than adults. In the past, children were thought of as little adults. He recognized that intelligence grows with individuals, and children go through stages of intellectual development. As kids learn new ideas, they will assimilate this new information into what they already know. They will accommodate or change their existing beliefs or schemas to these new ideas. And Piaget placed more emphasis on peer interaction, while Vygotsky emphasized peer and teacher guidance. Somebody who had differing point of view was B.F. Skinner from the United States, mid-1900s. Skinner talked about direct instruction curriculum. He believed that to master tasks, you could break them down into small, progressive segments. He also believed in teacher-directed classroom with strict guidelines, memorizations, and tests. Some of Skinner's beliefs, like breaking things down into small segments, would work well for a student with ADHD. But many of Skinner's beliefs are in contrast with Vygotsky's beliefs, such as peer-guided assistance. Direct instruction curriculum does not allow for collaboration and scaffolding. The pedagogy of ADHD. According to the U.S. Department of Education, teachers can educate students with ADHD using a three-pronged strategy. Number one, identify the unique needs of the students. Work with their strengths. Number two, select educational practice such as behavioral interventions and accommodations. Decide how you are going to teach to the class and to each student. And number three, develop an IEP or individualized education program. This is a team effort. Involve other teachers who have knowledge on working with exceptional children. Keep the families involved and listen to their input. Teaching implications. Consistency is very important when teaching students with ADHD. Lessons should be structured and expectations clear. Academic instructions might sound like, in this lesson, you will read about the 3 types of rocks. You should be able to identify igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. Behavioral instructions include how students are supposed to do the work, such as you will read this independently or you will read with a partner, and raise your hand if you have any questions. These expectations should be given before the lesson. Students should know what materials they will need, such as a textbook, paper, and pencils. Instructions should be simple. As time progresses, the scaffolding might start coming down for most students. A child with ADHD might still need some support. Use cues with students with ADHD. These can be pictures that the teacher or the student points toward, or a thumbs up, thumbs down cue. When my son was in the lower grades, he had a card on his desk that he could turn over. One side was red and the other was green. If red was on top, that was a cue that he needed some space or some help. If green was on top, that meant he was doing fine. Get to know what works for each student. Noise levels can be an issue for students with and without ADHD. Keep noise to a minimum and allow for the use of headphones when appropriate. Keep the work area clutter-free, but allow for calming manipulatives. My son likes magnetic rings and putty. Preferential seating, a chair or kick bands or wiggle seats are other great ideas. Chris Ziegler-Dendy, Master of Science of Attitude magazine, suggests offering choices in class. An example would be when learning spelling words. The choices could be to use flashcards, write the words in sentences, a word search worksheet, or taking turns spelling out loud with a partner. Dendy also suggests accommodations for students with ADHD, including extended test time, shorter assignments, segmented or broken down assignments with varied deadlines, similar to what we did in this class with our statement of informed beliefs, and teaching how to properly take notes. This can be beneficial for everyone. Students with ADHD may need additional behavior interventions. Teachers should reinforce positive work and behaviors. Tell a student, thank you for raising your hand, or you did a good job on your math test today. Praise should be immediate, varied, and sincere. When a student makes a bad decision, give them a chance to own their action and acknowledge that they made a poor choice. When teaching a child with ADHD, sometimes small issues need to be overlooked to get to the bigger issue. This might seem counterproductive, but when the behavior appears to be an attention getter and does not really interfere with the other students, it's best to ignore because spending time correcting every annoyance can interfere with the other students' quality of learning. In conclusion, a student with ADHD might be acting out because they are not in their ZPD or zone of proximal development. They might need extra scaffolding to help them get to a place where they can learn. It is important to recognize the signs of ADHD which can include hyperactivity, impulsiveness, or inattentiveness, daydreaming. These children might also have a learning disability. Work with each student on an individual level. Knowing how to teach to each child will ensure their success in school. Here are a list of my sources with some links, and I will also put that below so you can check those out. Thank you so much for watching.